Imagine standing on a remote island, surrounded by hundreds of giant stone heads staring out at the ocean. This is Easter Island, home to the mysterious Moai statues. These gigantic stone figures, with their mysterious expressions, have puzzled the experts for ages. In the middle of nowhere, on a tiny island in the Pacific Ocean, stand these giant, silent statues. Nobody knows who made them or why, but they've been there forever, watching over the island like silent guardians. These statues, known as Moai, were carved by the Rapa Nui people, a Polynesian society that once lived on Easter Island. They were created sometime between 1200 and 1500. It took a lot of skill and hard work to carve these massive statues, and they show us how talented and resilient the Rapa Nui people were. Each statue, carved directly from the island's soft volcanic rock, is a towering masterpiece, some reaching as high as 33 feet and weighing up to 82 tons. Their long faces, broad noses, and strong chins are a distinctive style, unique to the Rapa Nui people. Yet what truly makes these statues fascinating is not just their size or their unique style, but the big question mark hanging over them. No one knows for sure why they were built or how they got moved around the island. It's a total mystery. The Moai are mostly found along the coastline, standing on ceremonial platforms called ahu, their backs to the sea and faces turned inland. The big question is, why do they all face the same way? And how did they get these giants from the quarry to wherever they're standing now, sometimes miles away? It's mind-boggling. These questions have puzzled scientists for ages. There are lots of ideas floating around, but nobody knows for sure what the deal is with these statues. It's a real head-scratcher. The Rapa Nui people didn't leave any records about the Moai, so it's like a giant puzzle with missing pieces. We have to use the statues themselves, ancient songs and stories, and archaeological clues left behind to figure out what's going on. It's a detective job, but we're slowly putting the pieces together. The Moai are still a huge mystery to scientists, even today. Even though they don't say a word, the Moai standing there on the island tell a big story about the amazing people who built them. They show us how intelligent and determined the Rapa Nui people were, and how much they cared about their ancestors and their island home. It's like a window into a lost world. The big question everyone's been asking for ages is, why did they build these amazing statues? Historians, archaeologists, and even regular folks like you and me have been wondering about it for forever. One popular idea is that they weren't just giant stone figures, but actually stood for important ancestors of the Rapa Nui people, like giant memorials to their family. Now think about a society where everyone really believed in honoring their ancestors, and the line between the living and the dead wasn't so clear. In a place like that, these giant statues would be much more than just art. They would be like a bridge between the living and the dead, a way for the Rapa Nui people to connect with their ancestors and ask for their help. But these statues weren't just built out of respect for the past. They were also meant to protect the people. Imagine living on an island where anything could happen, from earthquakes to wars. The Moai, with their powerful presence, were like giant guards watching over everyone and making them feel safe. On top of everything else, the Moai were kind of like trophies for the families who built them. The bigger and fancier the statue, the more important and powerful the family was considered. It was a way for them to show off their wealth and status. The Moai weren't just statues, they were everything. They were like bridges to their ancestors, giant guards protecting the island, and even bragging rights for powerful families. They were a huge part of who the Rapa Nui people were, and helped them live, worship, and rule their island. Even though this theory seems pretty solid, it's important to remember it's just one possibility. We can study the statues and the things left behind by the Rapa Nui people, but we can't ever really know for sure what they were thinking hundreds of years ago. So, while it's fun to imagine why the Moai were built, the truth is they'll probably always be a bit of a mystery. They're like a giant, silent puzzle that we might never fully solve. These giant statues are amazing, but how did they make them so perfect with only basic tools? It's a question that's been bugging historians and archaeologists for ages. Even though they're huge, the Moai are incredibly detailed and beautifully made, which is just unbelievable. The Rapa Nui people, with nothing but basic stone tools and their clever minds, carved these giant statues from the soft volcanic rock on Easter Island. They used a mix of methods like carving, chiseling, and polishing to shape them. Every detail, from the eyes and long noses to the strong jawlines, was carefully crafted, making these giant stone figures seem alive. It's unbelievable, but the mystery doesn't stop with building them. Once these giant statues, some as heavy as 80 tons, were carved, they had to be moved across the island. How did the Rapa Nui people do this amazing feat with the limited tools they had back then? Nobody knows for sure. Some people think they walked the statues upright using ropes and rollers to move them. Others think they used sledges made of wood or logs. And some even believe they might have floated the statues on rafts along the coast. It's a big mystery, but one thing's for sure. The Rapa Nui people were incredibly smart and resourceful. While the exact methods used remain a mystery, we can imagine that moving these giant statues was no easy feat. It would have required not just physical strength, but also a good understanding of physics and engineering. It would have been a huge team effort, and the way they managed it says a lot about the Rapa Nui people and their society. Even though it was incredibly difficult, the Rapa Nui people managed to move and stand up hundreds of Moai statues all over the island. Each statue is like a proof of their amazing skills, determination, and respect for their ancestors. It's truly inspiring. The next time you see these amazing Moai statues, take a moment to think about the people who made them. Imagine their hands carving the stone, their minds figuring out how to move them, and their hearts filled with belief in what they were doing. It was truly an incredible accomplishment, a testament to their hard work and dedication. Unfortunately, Easter Island's story isn't all sunshine and rainbows. Over time, the Rapa Nui people faced some big problems. They had way too many people living on the island, which meant there weren't enough resources for everyone. They also cut down too many trees, which made it harder for plants to grow and for the soil to hold water. This turned the once lush island into a place where it was difficult to survive. Sadly, the beautiful forests that once covered the island disappeared. This caused the soil to wash away and made it harder for the Rapa Nui people to grow food. Things got worse and worse, and the Rapa Nui people's society eventually fell apart. It was a sad ending to a once thriving civilization. As things got worse, the Rapa Nui people started fighting each other over the few resources that were left. This caused even more problems and made it even harder for everyone to survive. Sadly, the once respected Moai statues became part of the conflict. Different groups started attacking and toppling each other's statues as a way to show their power and dominance over one another. It was a tragic turn of events for these once sacred monuments. Sadly, the destruction of the Moai wasn't the end of the troubles for the Rapa Nui people. Things were about to get even worse. The once powerful Rapa Nui people, who built the amazing Moai statues, were now struggling just to survive. They had lost their resources, and their society was crumbling. It was a very difficult time for them. Unfortunately, the Rapa Nui people's society, which was built around creating and honoring the Moai statues, started to fall apart. They were losing their way of life and everything they had built together. Sadly, as everything fell apart, the secrets of the Moai were lost. We still don't know for sure how they built and moved these amazing statues. It's a mystery that may never be solved. Each fallen Moai was more than just a statue. It was a symbol of a lost ancestor, a reminder of a time when the Rapa Nui people were powerful and united. As they fell one by one, it was like watching their culture and history being destroyed. Over time, the fallen Moai were buried by the elements. Sand and dirt covered their once proud figures, hiding their magnificence from the world. It was as if nature itself was trying to erase the memory of the Rapa Nui civilization. The once lively island, filled with the sounds of carving and laughter, became quiet and still. The statues, once symbols of pride and strength, stood buried and forgotten. It was a sad reminder of the Rapa Nui people's tragic fate. The once powerful and prosperous Rapa Nui civilization was no more. It had shrunk to a mere ghost of its past glory. The proud people who built those massive statues using only their own strength and cleverness were now just trying to stay alive. It was a huge fall from grace. The mysteries of the Moai statues were lost, forgotten under the sand and the passing years. No one knew anymore how they were built or why, leaving only the silent giants as a testament to a forgotten civilization. The once proud Rapa Nui, who carved their legacy in stone, became a forgotten mystery buried in time. Their secrets and accomplishments, like the buried Moai statues, awaited someone to rediscover them. Thanks to the hard work of archaeologists, we are gradually figuring out the secrets of the Moai statues on Easter Island. As we explore the past, we are driven by a deep desire to understand. The Moai statues, mysterious giants of stone, have kept their secrets for centuries. But now, With the help of modern tools and the unwavering efforts of archaeologists and historians, we are slowly uncovering the truth behind these enigmatic figures. The hard work of researchers has revealed some fascinating things about the Moai. For example, many of the statues wore red stone hats called pukao. These hats were likely symbols of honor or high rank, suggesting that the Moai represented important ancestors or leaders. Recent research also shows that the placement of the Moai statues wasn't random. They were often built near freshwater sources, hinting that they might have been connected to the Rapa Nui people's way of managing their resources. The careful work of digging up and studying the Moai and other objects has helped us learn more about the Rapa Nui people's society and culture. It seems they had a complex social structure with different levels of importance, were skilled at making things, and deeply respected their ancestors. Even with all the new discoveries, the Moai statues still hold many mysteries. We still wonder how the Rapa Nui people carved and moved these massive figures without modern tools. And we still don't know for sure what caused their civilization to collapse. These questions, like whispers in the wind, continue to puzzle us today. The unsolved mysteries of the Moai statues keep researchers digging deeper, pushing them to learn more and understand the past. Every new discovery brings us closer to unlocking the secrets of these ancient giants. Who were they built for? How did they move them? What happened to the Rapa Nui people? These questions continue to intrigue and inspire, urging us to unravel the mysteries of Easter Island. The Moai statues, silent guardians of Easter Island, stand as mighty reminders of a past civilization's remarkable engineering skills. Their presence inspires us to continue seeking knowledge, honoring both the legacy of the Rapa Nui people and our own unwavering curiosity. As we unlock the secrets of the Moai, we shed light on a lost era and celebrate the enduring spirit of human discovery.